Welcome back at the GovTech series. My name is Danny Frietman. I'm one of the co-founders of GovTechNL. Today, I'm going to interview a guest from EUROPOL about, of course, technology within the public sector and much, much more. Gregory, good to have you.
Thank you for having me, Danny.
You had a very busy day, so glad to God we're live in the studio. Could you explain us a little bit, what does EUROPOL do?
So Europol is the European law enforcement agency. So we help the national law enforcement agencies to collaborate on trans-border criminal investigation.
All right. You've been working there for a while. You have an innovative role. Could you explain a little bit what you do there?
Yeah, so my role is to be the head of the Europol Innovation Lab. It's a fairly new structure that the executive director established about 2 years ago. And the idea is, again, to help the European law enforcement community to make the most of new technologies, to be more efficient in their criminal investigations, to keep European citizens safer, and basically also to find synergies so that we can innovate and stimulate innovation in the law enforcement community.
Now, I can imagine, Gary, that startups and scale-ups in your field of domain are crucial to work with, but I can also imagine that you're working with very sensitive information. So my question to you is, how does this technology work in light of EUROPOL? How does innovation work in light of EUROPOL?
Well, innovation is really at the center of law enforcement work nowadays. In our digitalized world, most of the investigations we're going to do, and the national authorities are going to do, includes a huge amount of information. Terabytes, petabyte of information. As soon as you start an investigation, you might see the phone, you might see the server, and then you have to deal with all this tremendous amount of information. And so we need the tools, we need to innovate with the private sector, within the law enforcement community, to have the right tools to help the investigator and the criminal analyst to get right at the right piece of information right away.
So can you say that, Gregory, that technology is business critical to EUROPOL?
Yes, completely. Not only to EUROPOL, but really to any police organization that does criminal investigation in the 21st century, yes.
And you're leading an innovation team, you're connected to the ecosystem. How does this work for you from a confidential point of view also?
Well, we have a number of procedures and protocol. We can't share sensitive information with our research partner in the academic world or the private sector. But yet we have also some ways of working and developing prototype with them as well. Nice. There's also really a tendency for the law enforcement community to develop their own prototype. And then we get a little bit of support as well from the private sector and the academic world.
I can imagine. Looking at barriers, Gregory, because we can also imagine that capital, but also barriers to work with startups and scale-ups are there. What should we do as a sector to lower the barriers for you to also work with those companies?
I think it's important to keep in mind that innovation is recombinant. What I mean is that innovation, new ideas, new technologies will often develop based on former ideas, former technologies. So it's really important to create a good network so that you create an environment that is facilitating innovation to happen. Sometimes innovation happens by chance, but you need to get the right persons, the right actors to meet. The end users will come up with an operational problem, and then you get the right innovator, the right inventor, the right data sets, and then suddenly innovation happens.
You have to facilitate serendipity.
Exactly, exactly. This is exactly the point.
You're also one of the speakers of the GovTech Summit, which is taking place on the 1st of November in The Hague in the World Forum. Why is it important for you also to be there and share your mission around EUROPOL?
Well, first of all, also to share the narrative that the law enforcement community is not only innovative, but it's also open to collaborate with the private sector. There's a lot of sensitive issues, of course, around law enforcement use and new tech. But of course, we have to share the message with the citizens that without new technologies, it's not possible to sustain the criminal system nowadays in the 21st century. So we have to have the right safeguards, we have to protect data protections, we have to protect fundamental rights. And of course, this is what we're doing. We have an ongoing discussion with all the data protection supervisory authorities, but it is really important that we invest in new technologies in a regulated environment so that we can do our job properly. On the 1st of November, when a partner or someone walks to you, Gregory, are you open for a cup of coffee and they want to? Absolutely, and this is why EUROPOL and the executive director asked me to go and represent EUROPOL at the GovTech Summit. Perfect. I hope to see you there. Thank you, Gregory, for being here today with me live in the studio talking about EUROPOL. Thank you very much, Danny. Thank you. And we'll see each other the 1st of November.
And where do we see each other? At the GovTech Summit in the World Forum. See you there.